And I'm not sold on reducing it by 4 people as a way of changing what we want from our elected officials. There were other proposals that came to us that did not pass, things like having at-large members, things like making massive cuts in the number of city council people. These more radical things, which I believe should be put into the debate, because right now, everything that the councilwoman and Bill said kind of at the beginning when the issue was first broached, I agree that our city council members are not just legislators. They also serve as a sort of omnibusman to the people of their community. If we want that, then I think we have a pretty good system, because that's how it is. But if we want something different, and I'm not saying we do or we don't, but if we want something different, I question whether going from 21 to 17 is going to give us something that radically different. And I don't use the word radically in a pejorative way. I mean, I think sometimes you need to shake things up and try different styles. And whether we have 40 or 17 city council members, I don't know that that's going to make a whole lot of difference. But at the end of the day, what the people of the city of Cleveland need to decide is, what do we want of our city councilmen? And that's, I'm afraid that the $25,000 set, $25,000 representation, getting us to 17 probably, I don't think that question is going to be answered.
Mr. Callahan.
I've had the opportunity in the last 3 months to spend a lot of time in Detroit for other reasons, business reasons. And in the course of this, I've gotten to talk to a number of neighborhood development folks up there. And people may not be aware of this, but Detroit is, it is of course twice the size of Cleveland, but in every other respect very similar, and has an all-out large council. And when you talk to people who are trying to do neighborhood development and neighborhood projects in that city, and you mention city council, they roll their eyes, right? All the councilmen live in a couple of neighborhoods, and I mean, my instinct in Cleveland, as somebody who's been doing neighborhood development for 20 years in one way or another, is you always figure out how to involve the councilman in every process of thought. It's just the natural process in this city, right? You can interpret that as, king of the ward if you don't like them, right? But the truth is, we've developed a system of councilmanic involvement and responsibility in community affairs around the structure of neighborhood representation. And when you go to a city which doesn't have that, you find that there are values in it that people desperately wish they had if they're doing the kinds of work that we're doing. Now, there is a big civic reform thing that's been going on in Detroit for the last 10 years, and it's trying to get some ward councilmen into that system. And you could certainly argue, as one of the councilmen did, that what you need is a balance, right? But I think what Matt said, which is, there's prior questions, right? What are the functions of this process that you're trying to make happen? We have, I think, within the city, a pretty high political consensus that people want that kind of ward representation, even though they have lots of, unhappy thoughts about individual experiences. So, but the other thing you got to remember, and I think this is something that we really didn't look at hard because we didn't have proposals on the table to do it. Most of what people are unhappy about is not council. It isn't council that runs the city. It's the administrative side that runs the city. Code enforcement gets done on the administrative side. The trash gets picked up on the administrative side. The public safety gets dealt with on the administrative side. You can talk about the differences between council structures in different cities, but look at, we've got a strong mayor form of government. Other people have city manager forms of government, right? We didn't talk about that set of political propositions at all. And frankly, I think it's wrong to only talk about the legislative side without talking about, its relationship to the larger structure. And that may be one of the things we lose from not having a strong kind of citizens league, kind of just, our agenda is good government and good government structure kind of presence anymore in the city. We're kind of getting it on the county regional stuff, but so, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of consensus, I think, that nobody's all that happy with the idea of just saying, oh, let's chop a few councilmen off and that will make everybody happy. Nobody thinks it's going to substantially improve anything, right? But what would improve is a more coherent idea of how city government is going to plan, is going to budget, is going to deliver services, and how people get accountability and representation in that process. And we have a tendency to just feel one part of the elephant at a time. And this year we're feeling the council part of the elephant.
I will say,
Mr. Silversten?
real quick, because I know we're running out of time, but I do think one of the things that was kind of built into your answer there, you talked about council members as legislators, but their job is so much greater than just that. And that, I think, is a question that needs to be addressed by the people of Cleveland, is maybe that should just be their role. And maybe there's a different way to handle the second half of their position that has kind of just developed over time, which is this community liaison, if you will, with the administration or with other areas of city and county government. That's just a question. I don't have the answer to that, but I think it's something that hopefully from this people will debate.
And I believe that we are coming close to the end of our time. I'd really like to thank everyone for being here and thank our panel as well.
Today at the City Club, we've been listening to a new leaders panel featuring Bill Callahan, Councilwoman Phyllis Cleveland, Matt Silversten. Thank you, panel. Thank you, Eric. Thank you all for coming. This program is now adjourned.